I'd like to make a motion. I move that the City Council expressly supports underlying tenets of the Memorandum of Understanding approved today by the Tulsa County Public Facilities Authority, the TCPFA. Understanding the basic tenets are the city would change the effective date of annexation to January 1, 2009 and grandfather the TCPFA and its current vendors from the city's existing building, plumbing, electrical, fire, and other such regulatory codes in exchange for an agreement by the Tulsa County and Tulsa County Public Facilities Authority. There would be no changes in the use of the property without the approval of the Tulsa City Council. Certain monetary reimbursements will be provided by the TCPFA regarding the Arabian Horse Show and other details expressed in the Memorandum of Understanding. Based upon that understanding, the Council supports the Mayor's decision to enter into such an understanding once certain Scrivener's errors are corrected. The Council further expresses its support by pledging to bring an ordinance amending the effective date of the annexation ordinance to January 1, 2009, up for consideration on first reading next week, and if the charter cannot be waived, for second reading the week after on May 24th, 2007. That's my motion.
Motion. Any other council discussion? Councilor Henderson.
I guess I need to get some things clarified before I could vote on this, because we have something in writing from the county commissioners that agreed to this.
That's essentially what this Memorandum of Understanding is, and there were certain Scrivener's errors that we feel need to be corrected in that. So,
okay, I guess what I'm saying is, I'm hearing back talk or something in the back of my mind that maybe they didn't agree to it. And I want to know if Drew, for instance, can you tell us that this actually happened at the meeting today that they had, that they actually voted on it, and it's on record that they said that they would go along with this?
A couple of points, and before I forget the first one, John asked me to remind the council that we do have a speaker on this item. As far as the point that you make, the mayor told me, and I've heard from various other reliable sources, that the Tulsa County Public Facilities Authority voted on this item and approved it 4-0. The 3 county commissioners are members of that authority. I do not know if 1, 2, or 3 of them were there and if they voted on it. So Tulsa County Board of Commissioners did not vote upon this. The Tulsa County Public Facilities Authority did, if that answers your question.
Okay, that does answer my question. And then the other question that I have, and I applaud the mayor's efforts to try to come to a resolution, a win-win for everybody on this deal. But at the same time, and this is another question for you, Drew, I was under the impression that the mayor's job as the mayor of this city was to, once the council sends something to her for her approval or disapproval, then that was her job function, and not to cut a deal with anybody. That's a city council function, I'm thinking, and I just want to make sure I'm right on that. And would you agree that my take on it is actually proper, or straighten me out on this?
Certainly, there's no real solid law on that factor. You would think that certainly the discussions with the council prior to a vote would have been the most appropriate. However, the many factors that goes into a mayoral veto, that's not something that's really as long as it's not an illegal factor, it's not something that we could control.
Okay, and I'm not trying to sway anybody's opinion one way or the other. I'm not even saying how I'm gonna vote on it. But I do want to clear the air on that matter, and I also want to say that this has been a long, tedious process, one that we as a council have talked about, discussed, debated, redebated, and the county commissioners had their chance and their say. And for us to be here today at this hour, and this is, to me, an unprecedented type situation, because as long as I have been coming to city council meetings when I wasn't a councilman, I've never seen an incident set up like this one. And now that I've been a council going on 4 years, this is, like I said, this is totally a first for me. And maybe it's good that, you know, we're reaching across lines and we're trying to reach out and touch somebody. But we have to remember as counselors that our jobs as counselors are to help run the city of Tulsa. And the county's job as the county commissioners is to run the county. And I hope that just because we agree on some areas, that it is not the appearance that we're going to have commissioners / mayors of the city of Tulsa coming from the county. And I just want to go on record to say that I have always thought that the county commissioners should run the county, and that's their side of it, and I have never ever tried to tell them how to run that. And I think that the mayor and the city council should run the city of Tulsa. That's our job, and I think that that's what we do, and we should stay on that course. And there will be times that we have to try to make some agreements with the county, and I appreciate that opportunity, but I do want to go on record to say that that's all it should be, is to reach out and try to get some kind of understanding that we can work together on some areas. But I still do not like the fact that it appears to me that the county is trying to run the city. And I just want to make sure that they understand that if we agree to this, then that's not giving them any extended arm or to tell them that they have the right to come over and try to tell us how to run our business, because they don't. They don't. And with that, I guess I'll shut up. But I will say that this is the worst time for me on the council to have to vote first.
Yeah.
Because at this point, I still don't know how I'm going to vote on this. And the other strange thing that I must say is that this is an issue that just came up. You know, we've been running around here like chickens with their head off all day trying to figure out what was going to happen with this issue. And once again, we're expected to take a vote on something that just came up out of the blue. And we're supposed to be sensitive enough and understanding enough to think that whoever cut this deal, cut it in our behalf and for the betterment of us, when I still say that because the council was not fully involved with the process of what all was going to go in this agreement, then that kind of leaves us out here at the mercy of just hoping that every base was covered and every T was crossed and every I was dotted, and I really hope that that did occur. That's all I got to say.
Do we have any speakers? I haven't checked yet.
We have one speaker, Mr. Greg Jennings.
Thank you.
Good evening, councilors. I did attend the meeting today at the fairgrounds. The vote was 4-0. The 3 county commissioners were there. They all did vote in favor of it. I think this is a good thing. There was some bad, in my opinion, blood between the city and county, and unnecessary on both sides. As I said back then, I think it is always good when the city and the county work together for the same goal. And I think this will accomplish that. That will get us the annexation that I think will solve an anomaly that we've had in the middle of the city by having a county-owned property. This will allow us some time to sort out the legal details of how that is going to take place. In the meantime, it does give the city some funding for fire and for promotion for the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And I think it lets everything calm down a little bit so that I hope this will build a bridge between the city and the county so that we can work together to make more efficient use of the tax dollars that are being spent. I mean, that is the whole point. Just the fact because we are a city and they are a county doesn't mean we shouldn't be working together. I am a resident of Tulsa City, and I'm also a resident of Tulsa County. I shouldn't have to spend twice the amount of money to get the same thing accomplished. And I think putting this together this way, again, it allows us some time to sort out the issues that are still a little bit unresolved. It lets things cool down a little bit. And I think it will foster a relationship that will, let the citizens of the city of Tulsa and the county of Tulsa benefit from it. So I don't see any problem with this whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Jennings.
Yes.
You were at the meeting where this was voted on?
Yes, I was.
And the 3 county commissioners with the protocols and the memorandum of understanding agree that annexation should proceed?
They agreed that this memorandum of understanding should be executed.
And who else was present or a voting member of this?
Mr. Brewster was not there, so whoever the other person of the 5-member board, he apparently was out of town.
And when annexation was being considered, if my recollection is you were a proponent of annexation, is that correct?
Well, at the time, I don't think there was enough information, and there, quite frankly, still may not be. The county commissioners at the meeting, I don't want to speak on their behalf. They, as county commissioners, still don't believe annexation is a good idea for their own reasons and their own opinions, and I think that they have a right to, they're looking out for that. Putting that aside, this is the next best thing for them.
The memorandum of understanding satisfies the majority of their most pressing concerns. Is that a fair characterization?
Well, I think it allowed time their big issue, and they brought it up, almost every commissioner brought it up, was the permitting and licensing at the fairgrounds.
Okay.
That was a big thing that they all mentioned, that they just couldn't live by the fact that it may take too long to get the permits and
Permitting and licensing was one of their biggest concerns, and
Correct.
potentially losing vendors that had signed contracts was also
Correct.
talked about widely. And this memorandum of understanding resolves those two of their biggest concerns. Is that a fair characterization?
In my opinion, that it was conveyed, yes.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Okay, Councilor Christensen, I'm sorry that.
Oh, that's okay. That's all
Good.
right.
Go ahead.
Thanks. Councilor Henderson, I agree with everything you said. I think your concerns are my concerns also. And I think